Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of Elevated Podcast. I'm so excited for you guys to be hearing this. And as if you guys know, I'm having Woman Empowerment Month. And here with me is Marilyn Campos.
Hello, everybody.
Well, I'm very glad, I'm happy and I'm glad and I'm excited that you're here with me, that you can kind of celebrate Woman Empowerment Month. Would you like to let the people know a little bit about yourself?
Of course. So I graduated LABI College, class of 2014. Then I went on and did my bachelor's at Vanguard University with a major of psychology. And now I'm an admission specialist here at LABI College.
And any future plans for you, Marilyn?
As of right now, I just plan on working, in my field, and eventually I continue to work in my ministry and just whatever God has in store for me.
Absolutely. Well, guys, she's also single, ready to schmingle.
Let's
go. Absolutely. But I did want to amplify my motto, and I want to start implementing it a little bit more. I want to build a community where people gather to learn from each other, to grow and uplift each other. Now, without further ado, I do want to start out this podcast and kick it off. Today's theme is Wisdom in simple terms is knowledge in action. So without further ado, here we go. So I did want to start off with this quote, and it goes like this. Too many people spend money they earned to buy things they don't want, to impress people that they don't like. Within society, we see that we're just really after the rat race, and we're just trying to impress everyone. But I think that money and hell are subjects within the Christian context that we tend to ignore or put off. But the truth of the matter is that the Bible offers more than 500 verses on prayer, fewer than 500 on faith, and more than 2,000 on money. In the New Testament, 1 out of every 7 verses deals with money, and as a matter of fact, 15% of what Jesus said talks about on how to handle money and possessions. So Marilyn, as my first guest, my first question is this. As a young adult, have you ever found yourself having an internal fight with money and possessions? And what was the lesson or lessons that God showed you through that?
Well, I think as young adults, we always kind of struggle with the thought of money because we're expected to be a little successful at this time, but sometimes we depend on our parents still. So I think one of the things that God has taught me through my time of being independent is not being scared of going back to my parents if I need any financial help. Perhaps, my mama taught me just to be independent and just do everything on my own. And as her words would say, if you want something, just earn it. But I think many times in life, we kind of have to go outsource ourselves in the sense that we may have to seek for other help in order to get something that we want and not necessarily be too much of an independent. I believe that God gives us, gives talents and whatnot, and He eventually provides. But at times He's going to test us and, ask to give everything that we may have. And sometimes as human beings, we think about, what am I going to do? Like, how am I going to pay for this, and that? But at the end of the day, I feel like God is just kind of teaching us to learn that He's a provider and that He will satisfy every need.
Yeah, most definitely. I highly agree with you. And especially as Christians, a lot of people tend to see money as evil or kind of like shrug that off because, I honestly, there's people that extort that, and they just distort like having so much money as pastors or as leaders. And in one example is a pastor asking his congregation for money to buy a private plane.
Right.
And so it could be very spectacle and most definitely. On to our second point. Now there's this notion of money being the root of all evil, but it's not that money is evil, rather the love of money. Now, the Greek word for wisdom is Sophia, which means clear or clarity. Also the root of English terms of sophistication or philosophy. Literally, art of using wisdom. Now, the reason why I bring up wisdom is because the love of money is a heart issue, not of mind. Now, money should not dictate our actions, but most times it does. We are so infatuated with what we can do with it, the places we could go. And many times we say, just if I could buy this, I'll be happy, or just because I could go there, I could be happy. Now, back to the response, Marilyn. What are some advice or, tips that you would give someone going through this internal battle?
Well, I actually have experienced this in my life where I had a certain job and I probably made more money. And I thought that was, the job that would satisfy my needs, as in, obviously going to school, being independent, being on my own, and not depending on my parents. Obviously, that comes with a price.
And see, guys, she's not only single, she's also rich. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding,
no,
guys.
I'm not that rich.
I'm kidding.
But you just have to be smart with your money eventually. So I've learned that success sometimes doesn't have to be measured by the amount of money that you make, but by helping others, or something that, obviously as ministers we seek into whatever we work on, whether it's within our career or ministry. Our ultimate goal is to be helping others to reach Christ, or eventually work with Christ. So in regards to money, I've never been like the super smartest person in how I invested or whatnot, but I do know that whatever that God gives us, we need to learn how to manage it, and we need to be wise about how we spend it. So definitely one of my tips will be just to be concerned or aware of your expenditures. If you're spending too much, or if you're spending less on certain things, like perhaps shopping or things that are not so necessary, more as wants. And obviously be wise about where you invest your money. So I have a friend who actually, shout out to Gabby, she helps me with my she's kind of like my personal accountant. She helps me with my spreadsheet. So she designed a whole spreadsheet for me to input all my, whatever I spend during the month, how much I make, and how much money I have into spend or whatever I want, or free money, as she would say. So definitely be smart about it, because as being a young adult, sometimes we have to be social, or we just want to hang out with our friends. So that includes money. Coffee nowadays is $5. So even if you're having fun, and you require that money. So definitely just be smart about whatever God has given you, and invest it, and be wise about it.
Absolutely. And kind of like going off the script here, something that you said was be careful with what you buy and how you spend it. But have you ever found yourself kind of in this loophole of, wow, that person is living the life, as a friend, someone and they're going out and they're buying this and that, and like, how does that make you feel? And how did you like, have you ever like found yourself in that spot, and how did you overcome that? Because I know that jealousy or envy could kind of be that filter of letting evil in within our lives.
I think definitely it's kind of more of a personal intake. I'm not the type of person who wears like brands or goes by, brand stuff.
So no Yeezys, guys,
so
alright?
No Yeezys or any Supreme stuff or any of that. But I'm more of like, whatever money that you have, if you're invested into experiencing things, like perhaps traveling or just going out of your routine, I think that's already is a gain. Mm-hmm. Eventually it is important to say, take care of yourself and self-care.
Yeah. So
don't overspend, but don't go to the limit that you don't spend on yourself. I think there needs to be a balance in between spending for other sources, but rather than spending on yourself elsewhere. So.
And I do want to finish with this point. Knowledge is vital, not only as a follower of Christ, but as a human being. Now, wisdom in simple terms is knowledge in action. We have to be wise with our finances. And I did want to kind of like, we were here behind the scenes and we were speaking on the culture and society. And as growing up as a pre-adolescent or as a teen or even now, have you ever found yourself kind of like, even your colleagues or people that have you ever found them following that trend or following that movement? And what would you advise? What would you advise to them? Like, it's okay to be yourself. Or I'm not quite sure. As a young woman, I want you to empower them and give them this uplifting message.
Well, one thing I've learned is like, don't believe everything that you see on social media. I feel like eventually nowadays we live in a culture where if you see someone dressing this way, you try to follow that trend just because it's trendy.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, I'm not saying don't follow fashion, whatever you want. If that's what you like and aspire to be, then go ahead. But don't be spending a crazy money amount, just onto trying to look for someone else or trying to see yourself as someone else. I feel like being independent, being able to kind of just have that stand on yourself depends a lot on how you style yourself, but also in the comfort of finding who you are essentially, not just because you see it on someone else, but on the identity that you have as a person, and especially identity that you have in Christ.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that as I see that young women kind of they don't value themselves enough.
Right.
They don't see themselves as beautiful. Most of them look at themselves in the mirror and say, God, I'm ugly. But in reality, there could be like the most beautiful, like most stylish girl, but they still hate themselves. And so, yeah, I think self-worth, identity, and love on yourself because you were made in the image of God.
Right.
And know your worth. Don't go around selling yourself to people. Don't sell yourself to your boyfriend, to whoever. Be yourself, and I think that's like my biggest message. I've always said this: find your identity, find your purpose, and you will find your destiny. I think that once you have that structured within your life, the culture or society can't tell you what to do. But other than that, thank you so much, Marilyn. I appreciate you being here. She just handshook me, guys.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Any last words you would like to say? Or?
I think just adding into what you said about like finding your beauty and true self. I think you all find, as a girl, I always find the struggle of like my hair here, my hair this, or my skin this, my skin that. But eventually I feel like I've been able to be content and be in place of who I am as soon as I know that I'm good with Christ, because everything else doesn't matter as long as my spirit is well and my soul is well and nurtured. So I think it's more of an inner beauty rather than an outside beauty. And we all have different perspectives on that, but I feel like I feel good and I look good because I feel good, if that makes sense.
And as weird as it is, when you feel good, no, what would I say? When you smell good, you feel good.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know why, But most definitely, be wise with your finances, be wise with your decisions, and be wise who you surround yourself with. I think that also has a lot to do with it. So guys, be wise out there. Inform yourselves. Be knowledgeable. And yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Marilyn.
Thank
Everyone, goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.